All right. Welcome to the next Words of Wisdom. It's Emily here. And today we're going to talk about 1,000 sheep and not doing it small. So today is all about scalability. And I'm really excited to share things that I've learned about this and show you how to scale your life up. I had a comment on my most recent Words of Wisdom about how you can't achieve exponential growth in this world, in this economy. And I think that part of the reason why people don't see exponential growth is because they start small with the idea, with small ideas. So they start small, thinking small, versus starting small, but thinking in terms of scale, treating it as if you scaled it. So let's talk about 1,000 sheep. In order for anything to be successful, there tends to be scalability. There needs to be scalability. Think about Apple products, right? Apple products understand their scalability. It might take $20 to $30 million to create the first prototype, right? The prototype for their new iPhone. So they know that they have to scale the amount of products that they sell in order to spend that much time on a prototype. How do you build scalability and gain experience? It's kind of like raising sheep on a farm. Start with a small amount of sheep in order to learn, right? You don't want to start with a huge amount. And then scale up from there. Scale for a lot of sheep. One of my friends, he worked for, I think it's called U.S. Steel. It's like the largest steel company in the country. And he was their ops management. And he had to figure out how to scale the factory. And they make everything, hi Red, they make everything from tiny little watch parts for watches out of steel, all the way up to, I don't even know how many ton giant beams and stuff, and everything in between. And they were trying to determine whether or not it would be worth it to buy a new facility because they had already outgrown the old one, or build on what they currently had. And so they were figuring out, okay, do we need to start from scratch, or do we need to change these things just to give us a little bit more time, buy a little bit more time? And he had to make the decision to think large, but just make small changes to get to the scale, right? So if you're making a new iPhone and you don't want to spend $30 million on the first prototype if you're starting your own cell phone company. So it's in direct proportion to the amount of money that you're making. So when you're raising sheep, if you start with just a few sheep, you're not going to be able to quit your day job. But also you can't treat it like you're never going to have a ton of sheep. Like you have to figure out the production quickly. Also, people that have billion-dollar companies, think of the billionaires you know, the people that have started very successful Fortune 500 companies. That was not their first company. So don't start with a billion-dollar company if you don't have experience. That's something that VCs know. Venture capitalists who give money to startups, if they look at the person who is trying to raise funding and they don't see any prior experience, this person hasn't grown a billion-dollar company in the past, hasn't grown a multi-million-dollar company in the past, they look at the previous history of that person. So if you pick somebody that has had multiple billion-dollar companies, you're going to almost always be guaranteed to have a successful company just because the person's standing behind it. Because they wouldn't stand behind something that was bad, and they'd ensure the success of whatever they're getting behind. So if you have 5 sheep, but knew that you soon would have 500 sheep, you would not be calling them names and treating them like pets. you would be creating automated systems. Take the same approach with health, wealth, love, and happiness. With working out, start a workout routine. Start with 5 to 10 minutes a day and scale up, right? You don't, the human mind has a bias to think black and white, right? So they think, okay, if I'm going to work out, I'm going to work out an hour. I'm going to work out an hour and a half in the gym. It's like, no, start small and then scale upward as you grow, adding little by little onto it. And that's how all routines work. Build a business model with business. Instead of treating a business like a hobby, treat it like a miniature version of what you expect it to be one day. Instead of treating a business like a hobby, treat it like a miniature version of what you expect it to look like one day. Try to find something that makes you happy for only 5 minutes. Don't try to find something that's going to make you happy for the rest of your life or make you happy for days on end. Find something that can make you happy for a little bit of time. Take the 5 sheep, 1,000 sheep approach to life. It's how you find success in a lot of things: health, wealth, love, and happiness. The questions I have for you today is, what is something where you ignored this rule and you should have, and you stayed so small that it never grew and then you got discouraged? Another question would be, what is an example where you jumped into the 1,000 sheep approach and you either lost a lot of money or you got burnt out, right? You jumped in too quick. You acted as if you had 1,000 sheep too soon. So think about something potentially traumatic where you did this. And then the last question is, what is a simple idea that you can start practicing on 5 sheep so you can make the big leap? Something simple that you can practice on. Practice the 5 sheep approach. 5 sheep, 1,000 sheep. Figure out scalability. That is the words of wisdom for today. Tomorrow we will be talking about when good enough is perfect. So we'll talk about perfectionism and the paradox of perfectionism. So I'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks for joining me.